We're live? We're live. Hi, everybody. Whoa. We're getting some lag? It's not updating on my screen. Anyway, my name is Jonathan Brown. I am the CEO of FUSED, a web development and digital strategy firm. And today I'm going to teach you the basics of Visual Composer. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to go over actually is what Visual Composer actually is. So for those of you who don't know, Visual Composer is a page building plugin, and it's a really versatile tool. Now, I want to kind of make a note of why I'm calling it a tool. Like how you wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a nail, or sorry, screw in a screw, you really don't want to use Visual Composer for everything if you don't feel like it's going to work well for your project. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have, a site that needs 60 pages, and every single page, could potentially look different, or have different layout structures, even though certain components of it look the same. Well, you don't want to sit there and build out 60 pages. That's where you would more than likely hire a developer, such as me, to build your site in a way that you can customize pages quicker and easier than you would Visual Composer. Now, don't get me wrong, Visual Composer is incredibly powerful. Like, I love it. I'm a big fan of Visual Composer. But you need to make sure that the use case matches what you need it for. And if you don't know, ask a developer. Well, more than happy to tell you, hey, it'll work great, or no, I would honestly recommend not going that route. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to building. So the first thing that I'm going to introduce you guys to is it's a row. It's a very basic element, but it is essentially the building block of every site you're going to build. So this is what a row is. You click on it, and you get this nifty little thing right here. Now, what you don't realize is that, let me delete that one. If you add an element in here, such as a text block, and you'll see that it actually automatically wraps it in a row. So if you don't have a row in there, or you don't have when you go to add an element that is not in a row, it actually wraps it in a row itself, because it's the building block, it's the base, it's the container for everything that you're going to be building. So let's go ahead and create a row again. Fill it, and then let's see. Let's add your first image element. So I've already added an image to the media library, the basic upload. That's where it's pulling from. You don't have one up there already, you can just select one from your desktop and pull it in. Since I have one in there, I'll select this wonderful picture of Jacksonville. And you select the image sizes. Now, if you look down here, you'll see that it says thumbnail, medium, large, and full. Those are image sizes that WordPress has built in by default, and will actually create these image sizes when you upload an image. So if you upload one, it'll also create a large, a medium, and a thumbnail of it. It's a little tip. So we're going to go with the full-size image. Actually, we're going to go large because it's a very large image. Don't really want to add a caption to it. I mean, you can if you want to, and I'm just not a big fan of captions, adding it that way. Image style, you have a ton of options. I'm a big fan of default just because it works out better for me. On-click actions are things, so should open up pretty photo. So what that means is it's going to open up the image and actually put a black back, or black 50% shadow background on it. So it kind of looks like a light box image. You have all kinds of animations. We'll do slide in. This thing actually tells you what it's going to do whenever you actually get down to where the image is at on the page. These other two options are more for developer things. So we'll save it, update it, and view page. And you have an image. Now, it doesn't do that effect when you scroll down every time. It's just on the first time it gets into the page. Can I move this thing or something? Let's see here. Let's bring it down just a little bit. That one can be closed out, and this one. All right, so Centering an image, we already did that. So let's go back over it. The image alignment is kind of, is it going to be sitting left, right, or center? So if you have an image that's 200 pixels wide and you're on a 1200 pixel screen monitor, left would mean that it would sit left of the 1200, right, obviously the right, and center would center it down the middle. Yeah, so that's positioning. Let's see, adding a text block. So this is a text block. Let me go back and redo that because I did that kind of fast. It's literally just called text block. You add that, and it always comes with the default text, and it says I'm a text block. And from here, you can just type in whatever you want. It's essentially, if you're editing a post or another page and you're not doing it in Visual Composer, what you're essentially doing is seeing the same kind of interface where you have you can edit the text. So we'll make this. Oh, guess I can't do that with this. That is unfortunate now. Huh. I'll have to put on a request to them. Well, that's weird. So text block, this is bold. You can make things italic, turn off italic, turn off bold. You can center it left, right, insert, edit links, remove links, read more, and then you can, all right, well, we're gonna do center. This is text block. Let me go grab some dummy text to put in there. So warm up some, generate. Tons of text. There we go. And we're gonna update that and view it again. Fancy effects, scrolling in, you now have an image with some text under it. Now this next one is a favorite of mine because it just makes building things so much easier and faster. So if you hover over this icon right here, it says clone this row. It's also on the individual elements that you put in there, so you can clone the images if you want to, and then you know, if you want to keep the settings you have, it makes it easier. So you just need to clone it. Obviously, you have to select a different image. I'll make this one thumbnail size though, and we'll make this one slide in right. And we'll update it. By the way, that was the pretty photo aspect I was mentioning earlier that I forgot to click on. But yeah, so cloning makes things easier. If you want to clone the whole row, you literally just click the clone option, and you can go back in there, and you'll see that you've just duplicated that, and it's took me less than 2 seconds to do that. Which just makes things easier to build. Let's see here. Now, this next part is gonna be more fun. Let me change the theme real quick to this one. By default, that last theme I was using has a left sidebar, which I don't want. I want a full width one because things look better when they're full width on the screen. So we're gonna add a new row, and you'll see this little bars section thing. And what these are these telling you that you're breaking up your content into columns. Columns will be, instead of having one section in here, if I did 3, you'll have 3 sections to drop content in. If you did 4, you'll have 4. So this is pretty standard layout things for websites. And just to show you, we will put in a single image, and this will kind of help with the what duplicating things are good for. So we'll do large, we'll do center, And we're going to leave all that other stuff alone. So duplicate 1, duplicate 2, drag them in. Let me go grab another image real quick. We'll grab. It's a good image I want to use for this. Since we have a city on there, we'll just grab a forest real quick. Re-download. Thank you. Then we go to media, library, add new, select file. Actually, let me show in folder. Wow. Don't need to do that. Pages. So back to why the duplication thing is so awesome. Oh, I forgot to save. That's unfortunate, but that won't take very long. 3 columns, move over, duplicate. And since I want to keep the settings from the previous image, I will just change the image out. And when you preview now, whoa, that's a terrible theme. Where are my themes at? Right there. Let's try this one. There we go. Now I have 3 images there. Right sidebar is on there right now. It should be. I guess not. Man, these themes are just weird. Sorry guys, I'm so used to building my own themes that it's just very strange that it's not working the way that I would prefer it to work. Don't reload, we'll update this one. Oh, that's why. Still showing me the old one. There we go. 3 images that are full width. So image, save changes, update. And yeah, that is how you use the basics of columns. There's some more stuff. You see that it says custom. You can actually build your own. It's really complicated. Has to do a lot with math and how you divide up the sections in the page. So if you're not comfortable with that, then I would just use the default settings that are up here. They're handle a lot of different possibilities that you would need. And let's see here. Now this, let me go back into this. So you see that the page is, I picked the full width template, so it's supposed to take the full width of the area up. But you see that my content is sitting right here. It's centered. It's not, going all the way to the left and all the way to the right. So what you would need to do that is where it shows, there should be, I guess it's not in here. Let's try and stretch row, I believe is what we're looking for. And it'll look the same. So let me add a background color. I'm a big fan of, let's do some gray for right now. So now you'll see that the background color goes full width, but this content stays right here, which is wonderful. That's how you get these really nice full width looking sections on your site, but they're not, the content is not full width, and that just makes it easier to look at a website. It's easier on the eyes. If the content on my screen were full width, it would be very hard to see an image way over here, an image right here, and an image, right in that section right there. It would just be rough on me as a user. So keep that in mind, if you're stretching content, that you don't make the site difficult on your users. So I use a large screen. If you have, your full width content that I'm going to have to read from the far left to the far right, which is, I think I have 24-inch monitors. So that would be, quite the content area for me to read from. And then we're going to show you this. So let me drop this back down to standard. And then you can add another element. So you can actually add a row in a row. And I know it sounds weird, like why would you want to do that? For certain themes, they actually don't have the stretch content option. The theme developer has actually removed that option. So you'll have an option that will say, in grid or full width. And if it's in grid, then it'll be how it looks right now, how this content is right here. And it has, the content will end right there. So the background color won't actually extend to the full width of the page. Sometimes you'll want the background color, as I've shown right here, to extend full width, but you want the content to stay there. So the way you get around that is that you would add a full width row, which I can't really show you right here, but then you would add another one inside of it that is in grid. So you would keep your content in the grid, and your background color would actually extend out full width of the page. Go back to 3. And let's see. Adding a background image. So I'm going to delete these 3 images from here and show you how to make a background image. So if you go into the row settings where it's got the pencil on it, you'll go into design options, and you'll see that, let me clear this out first, that there's an option right here that's actually where you select the background image. So let's go with Jacksonville. Let it fully load up. And we'll save the image, and then we'll add a text block. So by default, most rows that come in themes, I can't say for everything, but most rows in the themes don't actually have a height set to them, or a minimum height. So if there's nothing inside of them, they're going to have no height on the page. So be 0 pixels tall, and you'll never see it. So we're going to add some text blocks and center text. We're going to duplicate them. I cannot emphasize enough how important duplicate is when you're building out your pages. And then we'll view the page. And this actually has a background image, but the image is so huge that you can't actually see it. So let me see if I believe you can actually adjust which image size you pick. There used to be an option here. So now you have 4 options right here. By default, it's not going to have, this is what you would consider a background image size. Cover means that it'll stay the maximum width to actually fill the screen or the section that's in. That's kind of my default one that I go to. So let's go ahead and use that. And you see Jacksonville right there. Obviously, text color is not optimal right now. So we will, this is non-cover, just to kind of rephrase that, and this is cover. So if your image isn't looking right, try and play with those options a little bit and see what you get. We'll go ahead and try contain and see what that does. And that's the background image. It's technically contained in the box, so it's setting the width and the height to make sure that it can actually fit inside this small area. And then repeat, we'll just repeat the image over and over and over again to make sure that it fits the background size. So we're going to go cover. And then we're going to explain what the padding is. So you see these little boxes right here. So margin is the space outside of the container. So if I put 55 pixels in here and 55 pixels in here, we're going to duplicate that, update it, and then refresh the page. It has 55 pixels on top and bottom for both of these, so it doesn't affect the content inside of it, but it affects stuff that's above, below, left, or right of it. If you go in here and affect the one that is padding, you will see that it actually affects the content inside of the container that it's in. So it makes it, I put the padding on top and bottom so that you would have more space in the text that actually displays more of the background image. Let me change that background image to that tree image. Make it a little bit better to see. Hopefully, might not show that well either. Yeah, it's still kind of bad, but I can change the color to white. I don't know why this is not working. All right, so we're going to go to I did not actually delete the text, it's just colored white, and the Visual Composer actually picks up on that and will change the color in the preview so that you can see it. This right here shows you the background image that's selected. If you have a color on there, it will show the color itself. You can toggle it to flatten it out, delete it, or duplicate it. And let's see. Here we go. It's not incredibly legible, but it is far better than what it was. Let's see. We're going to create a link. Actually, let's do this. Let's make a row. And inside of that, we will have a half and half. And then we were going to add a form. I believe I have forms installed, I do. So another great thing about Visual Composer is that, let's say you upload a form plugin, it actually recognizes that as something you can select. So I have Gravity Forms installed. It's my default form plugin now. And it will actually pick it up and allow you to insert it. So a lot of premium themes come with layer sliders and sliding plugins and a bunch of other stuff that you normally don't have access to without knowing the short code or copying and pasting things in. This thing will actually let you it'll actually pick up on the plugin and then know what forms to display. So I added a default contact form in here. And it actually picks up the options that the plugin itself gives you whenever you go to add it through the editor. So let me go to classic mode. So if you go to this, you'll see that these are the same options that you had on Visual Composer, but in my personal preference, the Visual Composer one looks better. Back in editor, and then we will add a text block. We're going to add some text here, and then we're going to center it, and we're going to add a button. So Visual Composer comes with buttons. It's basically just links that look like buttons. So this is technically what a button is, but the ones on the front end will look considerably better. You have a bunch of different options. I like the 3D ones because they just look really cool to me. You have, significant amount of colors you can pick from. Gonna go with orange for now. You have the size, like a large button. You can pick the positioning of it. So inline would be if you were to add this with some text, then it would fall in line with the text. I'm going to center it. You can set the button to be full width, which would be all the way across the screen. You can add some icons, CSS animations, just like the images. And that should be it. So this is kind of a preview of what it's going to look like. And when you hover on it, it'll actually show you the hover effect for it. And while we're at it, we're going to add a background color to it. What's a good background color? What color goes good with orange?
Green.
Green. It's a good shade of green. Let's force green. There we go. We're going to use this green that I just found. Okay, take it further. There we go. Which one? This one? We'll go with this one. Actually, no, we won't, because we'll go with this one. So you have the option to play with the color and things like that. I have a hard time seeing color, so I do things by hexadecimal color values. And we're going to update the page. Actually, I want to add some padding to it so that the color looks better. Added the padding so that the spacing would look a little bit better than what it was. Didn't make it full width though. So let's edit the page. We're going to stretch the row, but not the content. There we go. And we'll make that text a little bit bigger. There we go. So cool little press button. These are the default styles that are loaded in for the form. You can go through, type in first name, last name, email address. Let me take off the margin on the top of this. Oh, it doesn't have margin on top. I guess that has default margin on the page itself. See if that fixed it. Nope. All right. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate this one. And we'll change the background color to be that nice in-your-face orange. So change the background color. And so another great thing you can do with Visual Composer, let's say how this content's left and right, and you're like, man, I really don't want to have to delete all this stuff and then rebuild it. You can actually click and drag it around and move it to the other side, and you're done. That's all you have to do. The content has been shifted for you. So, and I mean, just like that, you have two new sections. Granted, this is obviously duplicate content, and you'd more than likely have a design to go by at that point in time. But honestly, with 30, 45 minutes, you could build a very nice, very professional looking website, or not website, web page, and really just play around with it, and you get really far. One of the great things that I like about Visual Composer, another one actually on top of everything else, let's make this 100 so we get more space. This looks a little bit better, is the parallax effect. And parallax is where you're scrolling and images will actually move either in an opposite direction or at a different speed than what you're scrolling at, so it makes it look really cool. You can do simple or fade. I always do the simple. Shouldn't need to select an image since it already has one in there. We're going to test it out. I guess you do. All right. So let's add the image. Go back and grab the trees. And the parallax speed. So minimum value is 1, and the default value is 1.5. So let's see, not 200. That'd be really fast. Do 2. See what that looks like. See how the trees are kind of moving with the scrolling, kind of like how this image is right here. It's the same effect. So if you wanted your all your backgrounds to have that really neat effect, you would literally just go in there, select the parallax type, drop in an image, try 5. And from there, you would have built-in parallax effects. It's moving faster already. It also will change the position of the image sometimes, which In this case, I honestly think it helps it because it makes it a little bit more legible as opposed to the green area, but that's just personal preference for me. Let's see. And let's go ahead and do the link. So building out a link is literally just as easy as highlighting it and adding a link to it. So I don't actually believe I have any posts on this page. This is just a default WordPress install that I've done pretty much nothing with. So we will go to view this post, copy the link, and insert it there. You can adjust the link text. Oh, could have just selected that. That would have been easier. You can choose to open a link in a new tab. That's very, that can be good for certain things and can also be very frustrating for other things. I really don't recommend making links that link into your website, open up in a new tab. That's kind of not really necessary. One thing, I'm gonna go to this. Which one of these got the link? So there you go, you have a link built in. We're gonna go back, and honestly, I think that's most of it. It's really powerful tool. It's really, really, really easy to use. I know I kind of sped through some of the things in here. And there's always, honestly, a lot more that I could cover. You know, I didn't go over any of the other things, but some of these, you know, are very dependent on if you actually need to use them on your site. Like I haven't built a site yet where I need a pie chart or a round chart. Some people might need them. You know, Google Maps are a very common thing that you'll be using, or not you'll be using, but most people have at least one map on, you know, their site to show a location. Let's just see what it looks like. I'm a big fan of seeing what things look like. Just testing them out. There we go. Installed a, I wouldn't even say installed, I built a Google map in less than 15 seconds. And if you're doing that in a hard code manner, you know, you normally have to write a bunch of styles and things like that so that it's responsive to your page. Speaking of which, just to kind of show you guys this, it's responsive as well, and so is these sections up here. They actually respond and are built to be mobile responsive from the ground up. So while this is obviously not optimal in terms of design, it's mobile responsive. It'll pass Google's mobile responsive checker. Which there are actually some other options, now that I remember this, about how to make this a little bit different. So if you edit the row and go, or sorry, not the row, the columns. So when you add a column, you'll have this little pencil that says edit this column. You can actually adjust the responsive options. Now this is, again, kind of more complicated, but it allows you more control if you need it. By default, you really don't need to do a lot of things with these settings. So just keep that in mind whenever you're building these things out. That this is there. I'm not really going to demo it because it's I just don't need to right now. But this is in there, and you can go through and, you know, see all the options that you can do. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, so the default is tablet, as you see right there, default value with attribute. And you can actually adjust it as you're going up and down. And on top of that, you can actually set background images and background colors on these sections or on the columns themselves. So let's say for this column, I want it to be white. Change to white, refresh the page, and it's white. Now the background color obviously looks weird, but the column is only going to take up the height of the content inside of it. If I were to take the background color off or take out the padding, it will be this size right here. in terms of height. Still have the width problem, but yeah, I think that's honestly about it. Oh, wait, no, one more thing. I keep forgetting these things. So you go through all this work to build out your wonderful design, and you want to use this on other pages. And you're like, man, that's a lot of work. I don't want to go through and rebuild this thing on another page. Like, granted, I know what I'm doing now, or, I know kind of what I want it to look like, but it's still a lot of work to build out all these options, to go through and style everything out and add all the colors and get all the images right. Well, people at Visual Composer have you covered on that too. So there's a little option in the top left-hand corner that looks like a T almost, and it's templates. So you can actually save the page layout that you built as a template. So we're going to save this as Composer test. Save the template, and it's saved. And then we're going to go add a new page. And then we're going to go to the backend editor. I'm going to click on templates, and you'll see that it added to this one right here. So you click it, and boom, all the things that you had on that old page are already built into this page. So you can go and view it, and look exactly the same as this one. So just keep that in mind when you're building out your pages with Visual Composer, because that will save you a ton of time. It is so much easier. Let's say you're like, man, I want to make this a template, but I don't want this one row in there. I don't want these certain elements in there. It is much faster and much easier to delete things than it is to add them in. So, if your page template is about halfway, what you want, it's faster to just use that and delete the elements than go through and build the entire page from scratch. And I believe that is it. If you want more tips and tricks for web design and digital strategy, press the thumbs up button or subscribe and subscribe to our channel, or we want both, please. Yeah, and until next time, stay nerdy.